Tonight, a young gay man talks about taking on the world at the 2014 Winter Olympics. Hi everyone, welcome to the program. My name's Andrew Whiteside. This is GayTalk tonight. My guest is Blake Skjellerup, a young gay man with Olympic dreams. Blake Skjellerup is an Olympic speed skater who competed at the Vancouver Winter Olympics in 2010. After the Games, he came out and has become a role model for the rainbow communities. His plan now is to compete at the 2014 Winter Olympics in Russia. Thank you for joining me, Blake. Now, you're on your route, hopefully, to the Russian Games in Sochi in 2014. What is the specific sport you're doing? So you're doing speed skating and it's short track, I believe. So explain that to me.
Speed skating, there's long track and short track. Long track's done on a 400-metre oval, and short track, what I do, is done on a regular ice skating rink, when you go and do your fun public session with, and I skate around a 111-metre track, just one lap.
And what was it that got you into this? What did you enjoy about it?
It's just fun, I guess. I was playing rugby at the time, and it was school holidays, and I was rollerblading with a couple of friends and broke my arm, and I couldn't play rugby with a broken arm. And a friend who my brother went to school with was involved in short track and said, your brother should give it a go. And I went down and gave it a go, and there was just something about it that was a little bit natural to me. And 17 years later, I'm still going.
That's fantastic. Yeah. What's involved in your training? Because I know, particularly to be an Olympian, you must be training all the time. So what's a typical schedule for you like during the week?
6 days a week, and there'll be 2 sessions a day, somewhere between 6 to 7 hours a day. I'll be up at 5, train through till 9:30, 10, go home, have a little bit of a rest, and then go back to the gym about 2:30 in the afternoon through about 5:30, 6, back home, sleep, repeat.
Do you ever get bored with it? You know, I mean, I swim, you know, and I get bored after a while. How do you cope with that, to keep that up?
Each day, I guess, is different. You just sort of go into each day trying to focus on something else, and you try and keep it fun and, I guess, just different each day.
Now, of course, one of the big things is you need sponsorship, you need funding to get there, and particularly to the Olympics, because you are competing with the best in the world there. So what are the main problems with getting the funding, and how do you overcome that?
The main problems, I guess, would just be getting people interested in sponsoring someone like myself. It's unfortunate that my sport is quite small in New Zealand, and there's hundreds of sports like that in New Zealand that are very minority, and they just struggle to get the funding and to get people involved. Like, I think short track's one of the greatest sports out there. It's fun, it's exciting, and competition is just always different each time. Just being at these national championships this weekend and seeing all the kids and just seeing how much fun they have and how far they come each year, it's like, I love it, it's fantastic. But to just try and motivate other people into that sport in a, what we'd call New Zealand a rugby culture is quite difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine, but you're pretty high profile now, so I would think that you would start to generate that interest from funders, from government, is that the case or not?
Well, you would think so, and you would kind of hope so, but unfortunately it's not. Sponsors, you know, I guess you can blame the financial crisis for their downturn and how much money they're putting into sponsoring sports and any type of event. They all sort of cite the same reason, which would be we just don't have the money at the current time, or we're tied up with other things, generally something higher profile than myself. And in terms of government, it just sort of seems to be sort of, I guess, hurdle after hurdle. You tick one box and there'll be another box to tick, and you tick that box, and there just keep being boxes and boxes to tick, and you just sort of think, well, how many boxes do I need to tick? So
now you're part of the AMP's People's Choice, do your thing, sponsorship, scholarship. So how's that going? I know you're at number 2 at the moment.
Yes,
so,
at number 2 I had a look this morning, about 250 votes behind, and I'm confident that I can bring that back. There's still, what's today, the 15th, there's still another couple of weeks to go. So
So we need to encourage people to get out there and
yeah, we do. There'll be
it.
a very strong push in the last 10 days to try and encourage people to get voting.
And what will that enable you to do if you win that?
The scholarship itself is worth $10,000, and it'll be a huge help in the build up. It's a huge cost from now until Sochi, and just to get access to the things that I need to not only be just competitive and to make the Olympics, but to go there and to do really, really well.
And there's another source too, because GABA, the Gay Auckland Business Association, actually has a fund set up to raise money for you as well. Mm-hmm. So it's all important. And I guess you were saying to me off camera that you eat 6 Weet-Bix every morning. So I guess that must cost quite a bit as well. You need to, you have to keep feeding you.
Yeah, well, you do. I mean, food is your energy, and you don't have energy, then you can't train. You just sort of deplete yourself until you burn out. And the things like the GABA Trust have been very, very helpful to me, because while there haven't been large amounts of cash coming through, there's just been little bits of I guess, dribbling through, and it's just been really helpful for those tough times that I have.
I wanted to go back in time to Vancouver, because you competed there. You came 16th in your event, mm-hmm. Which was fantastic. But the bigger thing for me is you came out publicly shortly afterwards, and I know that you were your boyfriend, you were hand in hand with him in the streets and so on.
Yeah.
What was that like, and what kind of reactions have you had to coming out publicly?
All extremely positive. Wouldn't say any negative reactions at all. It's I guess it's given me a profile. It's given me something besides just being an Olympian, which I think is great. And being in Vancouver, it's a great city, and there's a few other cities like that in the world where you can just be open, and there isn't really any discrimination of any kind. And it was helpful for me in that process of accepting myself and accepting my sexuality and just being at one with it, and that's what sort of spurred me on to come out publicly and share my story.
What have, in other meets that you've been to, how have other athletes treated you with regard to that?
99% of them, it's no different to who I was, closeted, and who I am out. There's been one team in particular, it's the same team I've always had trouble with. They don't really like me, I don't really like them. I don't know why. I guess, they might be a little bit homophobic, and there's been a few jaunts, but those kind of things don't worry me. They spur me on more than they do beat me down.
Russia will be interesting, because Russia is still very odd around around gay things. In fact, almost any democratic process, really. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing to prepare for that in any way, really?
Thing number one is the Olympics. Anything else will come second. I mean, my life's work is skating, and it's important to me, the human rights movement, especially through the gay community. But at the end of the day, I'll be at those Olympics to be doing my best, and I'll be extremely proud to be flying the rainbow flag, definitely, because it is something that's important to me, and especially in a country like Russia, where they have put sanctions on things like the Pride House, which I think is extremely uncalled for. I like to do whatever I can to move us forward.
It's really interesting, because you're out and proud. You're a great role model for our communities. It's interesting that I find a lot of professional people in sport, in music, in other sectors keep it very quiet about their sexual orientation, because they're afraid of repercussions. They're afraid of sponsorship deals falling mm-hmm. through, that kind of thing. Do you think it's enhanced or impeded your future, or any of the things that you're trying to do, particularly around sponsorship?
I would say it's enhanced me personally, because there aren't a lot of gay athletes like myself out there. So it's, I guess, a niche market, and it's unfortunate because everybody needs a role model, and there aren't. When I was young, I didn't have a role model to look up to, and I found that extremely difficult. So that's something that I wanted to provide, even if just for one person, to say, hey, I can be gay, I can make it to the best of whatever I dream.
I guess too, in terms of a sporting performance, it must be quite freeing if you're not hiding a part of yourself anymore, because that must play on an athlete's mind if that there's something about themselves that they're worried, or anybody's really, ultimately.
Yeah, I felt a difference between just when I came out to my family, it was just a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, and that definitely helped me perform and to qualify for the Olympics. It was only a few months before that I came out, and I felt like a different person and like I had nothing to hide. And I just felt it. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like a different person, and I went out there a new person, and I qualified for the Olympics.
You were involved in the Pink Shirt Day, which is all about being against bullying and homophobia. How important was that to you, and why is it still necessary?
Extremely important to me due to my own time when I was young as a teenager in high school. It was quite tough. Bullied not just because of my perceived sexuality, but because of the sport I was in. And that drove me, and I would say it made me part of who I am today. And so I wanted to share my message and to say, hey, if you're being bullied and you feel like, there's no end to what's going on, there will be.
I think that's a really important lesson, isn't it? It may be horrible to be going through, and of course it's horrible, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it's doubly important why people like you, it's important that you come out and explain your situation and be out and proud.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't see the problem with being out. When I was closeted, I thought there was a problem. I thought that my life was going to end and that no one would love me, but that just simply wasn't true. And I guess when you're young, you're still learning things, and you build up your own perception of what's going to happen and what people think of you. And when you come out, whatever you build up in your head is generally wrong.
My final question usually that I ask people is, what do you think it takes to have a successful, happy, fulfilled kind of life? So how would you answer that question?
I would say just being true to yourself and going after your own dreams. That's something that I do, and I'm pretty happy.
Blake, thank you so much, and I'm really going to watch with interest as you progress, and fingers crossed get selected for Russia, and all the best for the future.
Thank you.